Hello. Going live once again. I'm not going to be long. Just wanted to briefly touch on something I had seen from Cynthia G. And I'd seen this about 2 weeks ago. About 2 weeks ago, I'd noticed this. And in the time I was busy doing other things, I wanted to cover it. And I was like, okay, maybe something will change by the time I actually get to cover it. But it turns out that as I just checked today, and no change. Despite the fact that there's a lot of available information, there's been no change in a certain situation. So let's just do a quick backup. If you don't know, who is Cynthia G? Cynthia G, I remember her from Boyce Watkins days, and she used to spit absolute fire. She used to spit fire. She was very pro black, and like, wow, like she would go in. Something's changed in her content now is very, I think she calls herself Black Women's Empowerment, BWE, and she's very anti-black male. It's like anytime you see her, like just something negative to say about black males, black men, black boys. And this story is about a black boy that she decides to just go in on. Well, it's also about a black boy, but um, yeah, because a lot of people like, and so I remember Cynthia G from back in the day, and then I remember at one point I watched some of her later content. I'm like, what? Like, is she joking? Because I remember what her old content was, and now I see her new content, and I'm like, oh, what happened? And in fact, I had done a video, and yeah, let me just play that video. I'd done a short video asking that question, because it was odd.
From where she was to where she is now. And that's not a question that I see people asking, but it's a question they should be asking. Because from her to go from where she was to where she is now, like if somebody sounds like Malcolm X one day, and then a year later they sound like David Duke, you got to say, what the hell happened? Because there's a lot of sisters out there that are nowhere near Malcolm X. So if Cynthia G could be radicalized, if there's some catalyst that can shift her from there to where she is now, what risk exists to poison other black women against black men? We ignore this question and the answer at our own peril. This is bigger than Cynthia G.
Okay, so I did that video, and a bunch of Cynthia G just fans was in my like comment section. I was like, oh wow. So I I anticipate the same thing is going to happen this time. That time I was asking a question. This time I'm making a statement, because this time what's been done is just blatantly bull. But a lot of the women that are following Cynthia G, a lot of the women that are, part of her most loyal subscribers, her most loyal supporters, are part of this group known as divestors. So who are the divestors? The divestors are these women that are also anti-black male, and they will praise primarily white men. They'll primarily praise white men as white men are great, white men are this, black men ain't nothing. Black men are trash. So this is what they're on. So they follow her content in order to validate their opinions. So, she's constantly has negative stuff to say about black men. They'll follow her to see all of the things, negative stuff she's saying about black men. But that brings us to this story, this work of fiction, because there was an incident that happened a couple of weeks ago. In fact, last month, late last month, there was an incident that happened. A young black boy was shot and killed. He was shot and killed, and the reports were saying that the person that shot and killed him was a former police officer. The story came out that the boy's mother was like, listen, he's a 15-year-old boy. He was going to see this former cop's daughter. The cop didn't like them dealing with each other, had told him to stay away, and that's why the cop shot and killed him, because he didn't want him dealing with his daughter. Cynthia G put up a post about this situation, and I'm going to share what she wrote about the situation. Got to learn how to work this. So she decides to talk about this, and at the time that she okay, so let's just see what she wrote. Now, mind you, what I'm putting up right now is as it currently stands. This is what she currently still has posted up. She hasn't the edited whatever she edited weeks ago. Well, almost like at the close to the time of her posting this. But this is what she has right now. This is. She says, let's first address the elephant in the room and all agree that the girl he lost his life for is likely white. Now, by the way, let me show you the picture of the kid. This is the 15-year-old kid that's dead. And her assumption is that this girl is white, and therefore her father is a former white man who's a former cop who killed this black boy. At the time that she wrote this, there was already information available that suggested otherwise. Because at the time that she wrote this, there were people that were saying, okay, we know who the cop is. We've got his Facebook information. So at that time that she wrote this, she could have either found out that her suspicion was either accurate or inaccurate. She then says the identity of the officer nor the girl has been released yet. That's not true. And that wasn't true then, because at that point in time they had a name that was being publicly pushed around of the officer. I don't think they would release the identity of the girl. She's 15 years old. I don't think there's any reason for them to release the identity of the girl. The cop's name is Andrew Bankhead. So she said, now that we got past that part, why would you return to the home of a man who told you you're not welcome? But when you get further down the line, she says, the comment section is full of black people making excuses and blaming the daughter for this dude returning to the home of a man who said he wasn't welcomed and was trying to protect his daughter, which is something the black community doesn't understand. If a homeowner tells you that you are not welcomed at his home, it doesn't matter if the daughter invited you, don't go. So her assumption is that this is a white man who is protecting his white daughter, and that black men don't understand this, don't understand that concept. Let me show you a picture of Andrew, what was being shared on social media. Now, this is the available information that we have. It's not been substantiated by the police department, but this is what's the information that is out there right now. They're saying that's Andrew Bankhead. Yeah, black dude, cowboy hat. That's who they're saying Andrew Bankhead. Because now some of his family members have come out and made certain statements, and they're also black. So I think we can firmly understand that the man, in fact, the former police officer in this case, is in fact black. So the man that was, so her entire narrative, one, that this boy, because she wants to push a narrative that black men are just only interested in white women. That's what the narrative she wants to push. And so she wants to make it seem like this 15-year-old black boy got himself killed chasing behind a white girl, but the man in this picture is black. This father, this man that was protecting his home, that says he was protecting his home, says he was protecting his daughter, or that the one narrative is a black man. So that completely throws out her narrative that she still has not corrected. Because here I'm saying 2 weeks later, still not, turns out he was black, my bad. So facts are not an element of what she does. Because if she was interested in the truth, she'd say, oh, okay, I was wrong. Or she could have just done the research at the time, because, like I said, this information was available at that time. These reports of who this guy was, that picture of the black gentleman with the cowboy hat was available at the time that she wrote the post. But she has a narrative. And then the further narrative that she wants to push is that black men don't protect their families, their houses, their communities. Black men don't protect. So the fact that this is a black man completely it blows up two narratives of hers that she likes to push. So she had to invent a story. She had to take a real story and then just invent details in order to make her narrative to serve her narrative, to serve her agenda. And there's I don't know how many, just a bunch of comments in the section, at least hundreds of comments. Facts. Oh yeah, that's how they are. No, it's not facts. It's fiction. That's why I have that's why I have it at the bottom of the screen. This was a work of fiction, an absolute work of fiction. But I wanted to touch on the final point about this. That's not the final point. This is the final point. Why they lie? Because they're lying for a reason. They're making these stories up for a reason. You see, especially in terms of these divestors are filled with self hatred. They hate themselves. They hate that they look in the mirror and can't stand what they see. Not just because they're black, but also because they feel inadequate as human beings. They don't like who they are as people. So they need lies, delusions to justify what they're doing. Now the simple fact is, guess what? If if a black woman chooses to date any race of man, that's her choice. But these women aren't just dating other races of men, they're filled with self hatred for themselves and other black people. So they need to invent stories and these fictions in order to justify why they do it. Because they know what they're motivated. They know they're motivated by self hatred. And so they're like, okay, this is what we got to just push this narrative to cover for the fact that we actually hate ourselves. And that's what Cynthia G has done in just creating fictions to serve these broken people. But it's ridiculous because this is an actual story. There are actual facts. Like this dude right here, that's not a white man. It's not a white dude that was protecting his white daughter from her black boyfriend. That's not what happened. But there's actually a twist to the story because the latest information, and like I said, you had his family come forward. So you had a family member of his come forward, and once again, these are allegations from one side of the story, saying, "Oh no, well he doesn't have a 15-year-old daughter." That's not what happened. So this family member of Andrew Bankhead is saying that no, this wasn't even about this boy trying to see his 15-year-old daughter. That's not what happened. The cops are not being very forthcoming with information, but guess what we do know? We do know by all available information that this story that Cynthia G decided to put up there, to this fiction, this narrative that she's created, is an absolute fiction. Let's just agree that the I mean, just take a look at that first line. Let's first address the elephant in the room and all agree that the girl he lost his life for is likely white. Let's not let's actually look up the facts and find out what the girl looked like or who the girl was. Let's actually just assume. Let's pretend. Let's play pretend. That's what she chose to do. And like I said, a bunch of her supporters will be in my comment. Oh, black men do this. Black. Listen, let's talk about this story. Why the need to create this fiction? Why the need to invent just an absolute fiction around a factual story where we can do research, and there's information out there that completely contradicts what you're saying? Because if you believed in truth, if you believed in actually dealing with reality, with facts, then you would have no need to just invent this fake narrative around this situation in order to push this agenda that you're pushing, to gain the support of these divestors and whatever other woman, like, because there's this segment, and as we're dealing with this war of the sexes, there's a segment of black women that want to blame everything on black men, including things that haven't even happened. It's insane. It makes no sense. It's beyond delusional. It's really sad. But like I said, I'm not going to be on here long, and I just wanted to touch on this story, get this information out there, because I haven't seen anybody actually just like, wait, why did you just make this up? Because you just made something up. You completely made something up, and there's a bunch of people just running with it. A bunch of her supporters are just running with this fake narrative, despite the fact that there's a bunch of information that's out there that's available that proves that what you said was absolutely false. Thank you for checking out this quick stream. As always, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. By the way, everyone, enjoy the rest of your Sundays.